because there used to be a time where I wish I didn't go into corporate America and I just jumped into this.
Yeah,
But I recognize that I would not be successful in my business if it wasn't from the experience from corporate. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Podcast Trapper. I'm your host, Anna Agogo, founder of Black Pod Collective, Black Pod Festival, and Adone Media. And I'm joined this week by my parents. And so I'm super excited for them to kind of walk you down memory lane and give you a little bit behind the scenes of what it took to get into these three brands. So first and foremost, I'm going to kick it off to my mom. Feel free to say hello to the camera and tell them your name.
Hello, I'm Bola Owowo, Jita's mom.
They call me Anna, but just so you guys know, not this episode, my mother and my father are going to refer to me as Jite. Keep in mind, my whole name is Anna Jite, but I go by Anna. Dad, if you want to go ahead and talk into the camera and introduce yourself.
My name is Kingsley Ogogo. I'm Jite's dad.
All right. We're still on Jite.
I'm glad
helping.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you here.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start off with, you guys, this is going to be kind of like a Q&A episode. Rapid fire. My parents are probably going to try to tell some of my business, but don't worry, I'm going to cut some of those things out. My mother already tried in first take to say something about a car wreck, but I see where she was going. Okay, so first and foremost, this episode is really just to kind of give people some insight. I get a lot of questions around like, okay, did you always know that you wanted to go into entrepreneurship? How did you decide on podcasting? Like, has this always been your thought process? And to be quite honest, not really, but my parents have kind of been on this journey with me. I thought it'd be fun to have them here while they're in town to kind of get their take. A little thing to note, I get my personality from my mom, so that's like the goofy, fun side, but my business acumen from my dad. So the two of them are kind of day and night. My mom is really focused on the camera right now, so she may not show her personality. My father is always kind of serious, so just bear with us. All right, first up, I'm going to kick this off with mom this time because when I kicked it off with dad, I'm not sure about the answer. How was I as a kid, Mom?
You were a happy kid. You were.
Okay.
But you were very stubborn.
In what way?
I always want to get your way.
Isn't that most adults? Like, most people want to get their way.
No, you said as a kid.
Okay, but even children want to get their... Who in life does not want to get their way? Are there people who are like, oh, I just don't want my way?
No, that's not it. You, maybe because you're the last born, who knows? So you acted like the typical last. I mean, you're the only last born I have, but you were just, you get your way or no way. And of course, I did all the spanking. And your dad comes and be like, oh, my baby, oh, whatever.
So what we are pointing out is that I was spoiled as a kid. That's just the truth of the situation. I am the last born of 5 girls, but I'm the only kid for my parents together. So with that in mind, as much as she's talking about I like to get my way, she let me get my way because she's the one who mainly spoiled me. So let's actually throw that out there too. So,
oh, well, what can I say?
I mean, that turned out okay. So I guess it worked.
Yes, it did.
So Dad, how was I as a teenager?
Well, actually, as a teenager, you wanted to be a lawyer. And we would sit down there arguing the law. And then you were out to tell me that, I'm not just your property, I am a human being too. I say, yes.
That is true.
The law says you can do this and do that.
That is true too.
I have certain rights.
I do have it.
Then I will say, okay, all right. But you know that in this house, I'm the law.
That's how hard works out. See, that's so.
Also, in this house, I am the law.
No, keep in mind, my parents are Nigerian, so they are very strict. And as Nigerians raising an American child in America, I think you guys kind of struggle with that a little bit. Yeah, there's some social norms that I thought was like, oh, this is normal. And they would be like, and over my dead body.
No.
But, I think I am still pretty stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you felt that way, right? No, but even Matthew laughed behind the camera. Okay, don't forget when my parents leave, it's just me and you. Okay. I am still fairly stubborn, but I feel like I'm stubborn, which is what fuels me to go after what I want. So I don't like to take no for an answer. And the same way that like I would just go after things with reckless abandonment is the same way I was in corporate America. So I do want to kick this over to my mom to kind of walk you guys a little bit through when I made the decision to leave corporate. She was not exactly supportive or excited about that. It's something that actually like really scared her. And thankfully, because I am stubborn, I'm still going to do what I want. So it worked out in the end. But I would love for you to thank God for that, because I would have never heard the end of it. But I would love for you to share a little bit with the audience of why were you so worried about, what was some of your biggest fears about me leaving corporate?
Again, I said this before, it wasn't recording. It's, hey, because I've been in corporate America for over 30 years. So for me, there's stability in knowing that I have income, I have benefits, and most especially insurance. And when you say you were leaving, all I kept saying, and you remember, what about your insurance? What about how
Health insurance.
And you kept saying I get health insurance.
And I've had health insurance.
So, yeah, I know. Until you got that and got this business going, which I still don't understand. You understand?
Don't you understand?
No. Look, let's be honest.
Okay, tell the people.
The thing is, if somebody says, what does my daughter do? Podcast, something about podcast, or I say, she's in that podcast space.
That sounds real sketchy.
Yeah, but it's kind of, well, I tell them, go to her page, you'll find out what she does.
So that's a little concerning because my mom has spent a day at the studio. So like while she's been here in town, I actually brought her to spend a day at work with me, just so she kind of see like what happens at the studio. My parents came to Black Pod Festival, so they kind of seen that. But I do think there's still a disconnect because, not to age you guys, because you guys look amazing for your age, but they'll be 70 soon. And so with that in mind, I think there's a disconnect because, you know, in your day and age, I don't think people were just like leaving corporate and branching out and doing their own thing as much.
No.
And especially not in a new realm. So I'm concerned that you guys don't know what I do, but I produce podcasts.
I understand now. I do. From the Black
Pod Festival.
Pod Festival, and been here on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And seeing clients coming in, and you know, Matthew, or was he Nigel was here, and you guys were doing what you were doing, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of work. We're here from 10 a.m. till about 10:30 p.m. That's scary. But again, when you have your own business, that's what happens.
Why is that scary?
Oh, that's a lot of days and a lot of time. By the time you go home, you couldn't even do anything.
Yeah, go to bed.
Yeah, okay. So that's the thing when you do your own business. But when you work for a company, you get home. Well, even when you work for a company, you were still working on late. Yeah.
Keep in mind, when I worked for a company, I was in management.
Yeah.
And so whatever the team didn't finish and do fell on me. So I still was there till midnight, getting back at 6 o'clock in the morning. So for me, this is nothing new.
Nah, that's true.
And I always worked multiple jobs. I remember when I bought my house, I literally would get off of work for my first job, drive to my next job, get to work by 6 o'clock, work from 6 to 4 o'clock in the morning, get home, take a nap, be at my regular job at 9 a.m. And I did that for a minute. And then on the weekends, I worked at a different job. So doing all of that, and it's not mine, it's not the same as knowing that this belongs to me. I get to control the growth, how well we do, don't do. Like, I remember with Black Pod Festival, I wasn't putting a lot into this business because I was tired. And just seeing what it did to our business versus now that I'm putting all this energy in, it makes a difference. So I can understand like the fear, but my father's an entrepreneur. And so he's been doing this for a minute. So my question to you, Dad, is give one apprehension, if any, that you had, because his take was very different. My father's more of the, do it. Corporate is always going to be there. It's not like you didn't build all these accolades already. It's easy. Like, I still have people offering me jobs even now. Like, sometimes it seems appealing, but I'm not going back.
I wasn't really apprehensive. Why? Because you had your act together. You know, why you have the act together is that you have a property. You're able to essentially, your mortgage, regardless of what happens, your mortgage was going to be paid.
So just to give you guys a little bit of insight as to what he's talking about, I purchased my home maybe 9 years ago. And in that time period, I made sure when I was purchasing my home, it was a 3-story house. The bottom level of my house is something that I actually have rented out for the last 9 years, and that pays my mortgage and most of my living expenses. I think all that's left after is probably my car note and food. So that's just to give you context. Go ahead, Deb.
So, and then when I now look at, okay, what's the alternative? The alternative is going to be your own personality can't survive too long in corporate America.
Why do you say that?
Yeah. Well, because you see, corporate America is so structured, and a significant amount of the time you are playing politics, basically.
I do well with politics.
Right. So, I worked in corporate America at the top level. So I know even corporate anyway, it's usually what happens. So if you're a little creative and you want to go around structures, you have problems. And so you may do the best job, but not necessarily get acknowledged for that work. Whereas somebody else who is doing, I'm not going to use the wrong word, but, who is just there cozying up to the bosses, might essentially get promoted, and then you get frustrated. So it comes to a stage where, all right, you've gotten the exposure that you needed, okay, and it's time for you to essentially go further and try it. And well, if it doesn't work out, it's not going to be ruinous to you because corporate America was there. So that's the way I saw it.
He is correct in that. In corporate America, I did kind of ascend pretty quickly. However, it was when I became a manager, if I'm being honest, it became very difficult because I'm very big on getting the work done and like what it takes to like work, and not so much on like the politics of like, you got to go woo woo with your employees. And I'm like, I have work to do though. Why would I be woo wooing with people? Like they should be working. I should be everybody should be working. That's what we're here for. And it's funny because of the fact that I have a boisterous personality, but anybody who works with me will tell you that, yes, I like to have fun, but when it comes to business and work, I actually do not play that. Like we gotta operate like a fine oil machine. So my question to you guys next is around Black Pod Festival. So I know I talked about planning Black Pod Festival for like a year, and I don't know if I felt like you guys actually understood what I was talking about. So walk me through, Dad, when I told you that I was planning a conference, before you came there, what did you think I was doing?
Well, I was kind of, I must confess, I didn't know a whole lot about podcasting. But the way I rationalize it to myself is like, it's like broadcasting. You asked me this question before. Mm-hmm. It's like broadcasting, but this time, it's more personalized. You can do it from your laptop, from your desktop and all that. So, okay. But as to all the other things that went with it or that still go with it, I won't tell you that I know a whole lot about it. But when I came to the Black Pod Festival, I was very impressed. You had learning all your people and 70 speakers, and you were fielding the questions like you've been there for doing it for a very, very long time. So I was very impressed. I was very impressed at the way you conducted yourself, and I started to understand more the potential for this business. And then you now told me there are other things you'll discuss with me, like the podcast community and subscription. And before you now got into using,
so
it's a lot more to that.
It's funny because I feel like my parents, for the most part, before I opened the studio and everything, I don't think they really understood that I was in business for myself. The amount of times that my mother would be like, so what are you doing today? And I think going to the conference and then being able to see like, oh, this is a whole thing. Before that, I don't think they fully understood what Black Pod Collective was. The fact that, when they would always join my IG lives and all of these things because they're here to support, but I don't think they actually understood like what was going into it. And for me, if you are a creative and you are branching out in your business or to do your creativity full time, the biggest advice that I have for anyone is just keep working towards it. It doesn't have to make sense to other people as long as you know what you have in your spirit. Like, as long as you guys know, I'm a Christian, I'm a huge believer in God. Like, he is over my life and everything. As long as God has given you a vision, it doesn't matter whether, and I love my parents dearly. I go to them for everything. I seek their advice. But at the same token, when I was starting all of this, for me, I knew that I couldn't focus too much on them because this is an arena that they've never been in. Like, podcasting is not something that was during their time period. So they don't have, I know that sounded really...
We're almost 70.
You know,
Okay.
like, that's not in your era. So understanding when I say I'm creating a community, like, even then, like, I am the first paid podcast community, period. The first one. Meaning nobody else had done this before. And so when you are like paving the way and making charts, like, as much as you love the people around you, my big thing and reminder to people is you have to like keep your eye on the prize, because in time, they will understand it better and support you more. And that's where my parents are now. They're my biggest supporters. Like, just the other day, I was telling them about the studio and, some things that we're going to be doing and moving. And so my next question is, what are your thoughts on me owning a studio? Like, what was, like, when I told you I think it was July. I remember specifically, we were in Maryland. I think we were at Tony's wedding in Maryland at the hotel. And I was about to go look at the studio space for the first space. And I said, hey, I'm interested in opening a studio. And it's probably the first time I've vocalized it to you guys, even though it's a thought I've had. I'm going to start off with you, Dad, because I remember that day very well. Because Mom was like, no. And Dad was like, yeah, go for it. It's right, go do it. So, Dad, what were your thoughts when I made the decision and I told you that I wanted to open a studio? And I know what you said in the moment, but I always feel like my dad is more PG than my mom. My mom is going to tell you how she feels, and she don't care about your feelings being hurt. My dad is typically going to like baby me a little bit better, but then tell my mom he's worried, and then she comes to me. Yeah, I know that's what you do. I know already. I've heard you. Yeah. But no, Dad, what were your thoughts when I told you that I wanted to open a studio space? And give one like of your biggest concerns when I made that decision?
I wouldn't say it's a concern, really. I saw it as a natural progression from.
You didn't think it was too soon? I had just left my job in February and I opened, and this was July.
Why would you've already left your job, right? So yes, right? The horse is off the barn, right? So if you felt that there was something that was going to essentially a creative to the work you're already doing, I'll be all for it. I mean,
you had no concerns, zero.
No, the only let me tell you, the concerns I had were financial. Okay, were you going to take on
too much?
No, were you going to take on the studio, the rents, and all the overhead that will come with it? You have enough cash flow to be able to service those fixed obligations that you have. Okay, and we talked about it, actually, right? And then we're now looking at, all right, what the kinds of arrangements you had, locations you went to. So I'm just trying to recollect that in the lease you were getting into, if I remember properly,
it was flexible. It was a month
to get out of it,
if it didn't work out.
If it didn't work out. So those were the guideposts I was looking at, but not that I was concerned about that business because it's a natural progression.
For me? No, it's true. For the studio, my fear is, how are you going to pay the rent?
Did you not understand that I had a business now?
It took a while. Well, yeah, you have a business, but must you have an office? Must you have a studio? How are you going to pay the rent? Oh, Mom, I said, like your dad just said, because they gave you a month to month. I'm like, okay. But at the same time, we put it in prayer. We go let it work out, and it worked out. And she's hardworking. There's no question.
So,
but that was my fear.
What they're referring to, the very first studio that we had was a month. And that was a big thing for me, actually, because this was July of 2021, and I just did not know what that was going to look like from a COVID perspective. It made me very nervous. Like, I even got COVID insurance in case like we ever had another like outbreak or shutdown to where my bills would be paid if that did happen. So I was very proactive in that sense, but I felt more comfortable with our lease with that. That first location was a month to month. So as long as I gave 30-day notice, we could get out of there at any point. So I always tell myself, like, if things were not going well, like if I wasn't able to make rent, pay the team, whatever the case may be, I would immediately just give the 30-day notice, close this thing down and keep it pushing and just have it as a learning experience. But if you ever notice, we never did an official open of that studio because I was deathly nervous about that. I didn't want to do this whole huge thing of like, oh, we're open, and if I have to close, like, what if that happens? Like, to me, that would have been embarrassing. So it was a concern of mine. It was in the back of my head because this was something I had never done before. And if you watch my biggest failures episode, I talk about the fact that planning a conference and opening a studio is by far to this day the worst decision I have ever made in my life. Now, granted, it's worked out, don't get me wrong, but I also recognize, like, looking at how well the business is doing now versus what it was doing last year, taking on those two undertakings at the same time was horrible. Like, absolutely horrible. Like, Matthew will even tell you, like, back then we probably got maybe 2 or 3 video requests a month. Now, Matthew's laughing in the background because now we are in here every day, bumping 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. It does not matter. And so it's one of those things of just like, you live and you learn. And sometimes because I think I can do any and everything, I sometimes jump into things without stopping to think of the fact that I have a capacity limit. And so that's a question I have for you guys. Like, where did that come from? Like, my ability to really just never think that maybe I can't do something. I genuinely never have that thought. Like, that thought has never crossed my mind that I can't do something.
That's from God. That's from you. It's not from me.
We know that. My mom is a scaredy cat. Like, she is fun, but she is definitely a scaredy cat. She likes to play it safe. So I think I may get this from you, Dad. So my question is, how did you instill that in me? Because this one didn't.
I think God gave it to you.
She refuses to let you get any credit. She's like, this is God, okay? Don't give him credit. But no, Dad, how do you feel like you instilled that in me as a kid?
Well, how would I put it? I don't want to talk about my profession too much, but my profession, my profession is bank.
You're a banker. So
I'm a banker. So the way I look at it is that I was in charge of the risk division of the bank. Okay? So if you say yes, yes, yes to every deal, you're not going to make any money. The bank is going to shut down. Why? Because you have a bad debts. If you say no to every deal, the same thing. The bank will do nothing and will not make any money. So within the confines, your trade-off has to be, okay, how do I trade off between these two areas? So there are times when, yes, you have to take risk. Now, so long as those risks are calculated, so what's the downside? So
that is my father's favorite question for any decision I'm going to make. I could be asking about, do you think I should buy popcorn? What would be the downside of you getting popcorn today? And it's like, I don't know. I just want popcorn.
Yes. So what's the downside? You can look at the upside, or what can go wrong. Can you survive anything that's going to go wrong? Yeah. And then you do that kind of calculated risk. I would say go for it. And that was the same approach I used, telling you that was the downside of your taking the studio. Okay? Downside is, okay, doesn't work out, all right. Like you said, give 1 month's notice, thereabouts. So just going into the deep end without any of those kinds of analysis.
So if I had said that, you know what, I have done none of that, I just wanted a studio, what would you have said?
I would have now reminded you nicely. You say, okay, these are the issues. Why? Because I'll be looking at you as somebody coming to me for a facility, and I'm going to just evaluate that business from that point of view, basically. I may not be as I wouldn't want to discourage you, but I want to structure it in a manner that's going to essentially make sure that, okay.
And you understand. He's the voice of reason.
My mother is panic.
Yeah.
Absolute panic.
And he goes, Bolanle, you need to calm down.
And she does not listen.
Oh, sometimes I do.
Never listens. She literally, she starts off with panic, and then I'm upset, and then of course then this is why my dad is often like, for the love of God, you guys just leave each other alone. Because I go to her, she's panicked, and my feelings are hurt. I go to him, and then I'm crying because I'm upset because she doesn't believe in me. Then she's crying because of the fact that she's scared, and now everybody's just looking at him like, do something. And
that's why he's the father.
That's the dynamic. So, Mom, what do you wish I did differently, though, in this whole process of, creating a community, a conference, a studio, like going out into business on my own? What is something that you wish I did differently?
As big as you've become?
I don't
That's good.
Yet, but...
Well, for me.
Oh, big time?
Yeah.
Oh, you found out I'm big time.
Yes. So, I can't be, okay, just like you said, I don't know about this business, but I've come to understand it. And you've affected a lot of people. You have a community. That conference was mind-blowing. It really was. Yeah, but we're sitting there with my two sisters and her husband and your dad, and we're like, where did she know all these people? Where did that come from? How?
They're strange.
Community.
Strangers on the internet who I built community with.
They're good community. They really are amazing. You build. From that, if you ask me what should you have done differently, I can't think of anything else. Because when you went North Springs High School, remember you were a member of the FBLA? And you guys went to Florida to
Yeah, you remember how you tried to discourage me? So let's also keep in mind.
But you have always done what you want to do, and you're a very, very, very smart girl. I'm trying to tell you. Go ahead.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because here's the thing. I know for a fact I was not an easy child to raise.
Thank God she remembered.
I am fully aware.
I didn't know that.
No, I am fully aware of the fact that I was not an easy child to raise because of the fact that I've been very headstrong and I do what I want to do, which doesn't make for the best child, but I think makes for a great adult, and makes for a great person who makes their own decisions. So I was never a person who was easily influenced by other people because I do what I want. So like in high school, I was on the track team, I was on the swim team, I was in FBLA, which is Future Business Leaders of America, and all these things. And my mother wanted me to just focus on school, not this extracurricular stuff.
I was okay with FBLA, not the others.
You weren't okay with anything.
Only FBLA.
You weren't even okay with that.
I was okay with FBLA because it's a debating team. Mm-hmm. That's smart. Only smart people, and you guys got in.
We actually won nationals.
Okay, thank you.
Out there, really drop that. Anyway, my team won nationals. But no, my mom did not like anything that was not read your book, go to school, and you always focus on extracurricular. However, I do feel like those extracurriculars in college as well as in high school, like when you ask the question of how do you learn these things, I didn't learn these things in the classroom. I learned how to plan a conference being a part of Spotlight, which planned homecoming, on-campus events. I learned that from Spotlight, which you did not support. You didn't want me to be a part of Spotlight. And so this is my reminder to people, and this is why I say the things of, I'd rather raise a strong-willed child than a child who just listens to me. Because a person who just listens to you is focused on your fears. Because you can't help but instill your fears in me. I just refuse.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I'm always scared because I want the best for you.
The one thing I would say about the FBLA, is that I noticed that was where you pivoted from being a lawyer.
Yes.
Okay, and then to business. Because after the FBLA exposure, I didn't have too many debates with you anymore about law.
I was exhausted.
Yeah, so it was like,
We won nationals, but Jesus Christ, it was exhausting.
Yeah.
And like one big thing to know about me, as much as I'm in service business, people can actually be very draining to me after a while. And the going back and forth, it was just like, oh God, if this is law, I don't want that. But no, my big question to you guys is, what advice would you have for other parents? Because I do think a lot of creatives, like, I'm being serious, Mom. You're like, why are you
I'm
laughing?
laughing because here you're saying that all the advice that I gave, you didn't listen. That's why you're where you are,
I mean,
which I'm glad that if you listen to me, you probably will be like me. But you're like me in some ways, just very bold.
I'm like you in like the fact that I have a community and my personality is very big. I get that from you. But I'm not scared of anything.
Which is good. I'm scared of everything. I know. I'm
You're
scared.
your own shadow.
I don't know about that. Hey,
But no, like, that's why I'm asking, what advice would you give to parents? Because I do feel like a lot of creatives and a lot of people in corporate, especially Nigerians, who, I mean, let's be real. For y'all, it's either you're a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. And that to you is what success in our culture is. And there's so many people who they go this route because they don't have the support that they need. And I appreciate the fact that you guys are supportive now, but I'm not going to lie. In the beginning, no, I didn't care. Like it hurt a little bit, I think, at first, but then I realized like that's just who you are. Like you can't help yourself. And dad is typically gonna always be like, well, if you thought through the things, then go forth, be great and prosper. So I think it's good that there's a balance. Like if both of you were that way, I probably would have struggled a little bit. But my question is, what advice would you have for a parent who their kid wants to be a creative, wants to go down this route? Because there used to be a time where I wish I didn't go into corporate America and I just jumped into this. But I recognize that I would not be successful in my business if it wasn't from the experience from corporate. Like I'm a certified project manager. All of these things is how I'm able to manage so many things in my business. So I don't regret corporate because I needed that. But what advice would you give to parents who their kid wants to go more of the creative route? And I'm going to start off with you because
I was going to say, let your dad take that.
No.
Because, again,
would you wish I still stayed in corporate though? Be honest.
Now, no. Now, because the business is doing well.
Right.
Like I said, thank God for that. And we didn't have to say, oh my God, why did she? But like your dad said, oh, yeah. Remember, you always said, Mom, if it doesn't work out, I can always get a job. People always offer me jobs. I can always take jobs. So, yeah. But what would I tell other Nigerians? Knowing where we're coming from, and you just said it, they want their daughters or children to either be a doctor or marry a doctor or be a lawyer or something. And are they happy though? Most of them are really not as happy as they really want to be. Yeah, you have the money. Here you are. You took your path. Are the parents going to advise them, oh, go and be whatever you want to be? It's hard to tell a child, go and be whatever. But you went through all that path. Corporate America to get to where you are.
You have no advice for somebody else who their kid wants to be a creative? None?
Oh.
What, like now that you know, you have no advice for someone?
The advice would be, give them a chance.
Okay.
Give them a chance. Let them try it. And encourage them. Maybe I should have encouraged you, but I didn't know how to encourage you. All I knew was,
be scared. Be very afraid.
Well,
be very afraid.
Yeah, they should.
You're not going to be paying your bills. What are you going to do?
They should encourage.
You should get married. A husband will take care of you, and then you can do all this side stuff you want to.
They should encourage your children to do what they want to do. That's it. Scale, pick that up, please.
No, you see, speaking for myself, yes, they should do what they want to do. However, there are certain prerequisites, okay? There are kids who don't want to go to college.
Right? It was not an option in my
So that would never be an option, first of all. Okay, you don't want to go to college, you have to basically get what you need to succeed. You get some education under your belt. And then, all right, the experience you have, You have all those things you learned. If you go back and take an inventory, the discipline. The college is not just what you learn itself.
I've definitely never used algebra.
Right. So it is, like I used to tell Honor.
Sounds
It is.
so weird.
I know about that. Honor cheating.
It is the discipline. And I used to tell her, what is discipline? Discipline is doing what you don't want to do, but you have to do it. So those kinds of discipline, that's why they even call it, what is your discipline? Where I call it, what's your discipline? Discipline. So you have to have all of those under your belt, because those will fortify you.
What is the advice for parents?
For parents, is what she
That's what I'm saying now.
That is not a.
They should at least finish college.
Wait a minute.
You should. So if you were talking to another parent who had a boisterous, fun, amazing child like myself, you would tell them about discipline in 2 sentences. Now,
I'll just say, first of all, make sure your kids get their college off, and then guide them through whatever they now want to do. At least they have the basis.
Encourage them.
And encourage them.
I see. Here's the funny thing. This day and age, folks have degrees and still can't get a job. It's about the experience. So like college, I'm not gonna lie, it's expensive as heck. And then I don't know if you need it.
Okay, you worked throughout.
I've never not worked. Let's start off there. That's I'm gonna step into my soft girl era soon. I told Matthew that I'm gonna let him take over the studio, and you're never gonna see me again. So don't need me for anything. I'm putting that in the atmosphere now. But as you can see, my father is very serious.
Yeah, serious.
But okay, so before we close out, because I feel like we've been on here for a minute, Leva, what is one thing you want the audience to know about me? What's that face?
I'm looking at you.
Why are you staring at me?
You're a beautiful woman.
She only says that when I have makeup on.
But you look like me.
And I don't look like you when I don't have makeup on?
I'm just saying that you look like me. Let's take it. It's a compliment.
It's not a compliment, because normally she says I look like my dad, but when I have makeup on, she says I look like her.
Yeah, because I'm a woman. So
No, it's just
like you're a woman.
She's like, when you're put together, you look like me. When you have your bonnet on at home, you look like a fun.
Yes, you do.
What she's trying to say about? No, I didn't. I got you.
Okay, you're a very, excuse me, a very honest person. No, you tell the truth.
Okay.
So that's honesty right there. And if you like someone, you will fight for them. No.
And if I don't?
Well,
Not to the person.
well, So to you, you're about family, yourself, which should be the first thing anybody should be. Family and friends. And like you said, there's some friends that are more than family. But you love life. You love life. And you embrace it with everything. That's what you see you do in everything that you do. Am I allowed to do all this?
You can do whatever you want.
Then I'm just like in a box.
Oh.
But GT is...
Be free. What? It's the end of the episode. Be free.
GT is a very, she's very lively. And like she said, she got that from me.
This is why I'm like, I don't know what this version of you is showing up.
Version of your mother.
Because you're trying to be on camera and reserved.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, I was trying to, but now it's almost ending. I can be myself.
She said, I'm struggling. Let me free.
So anyway, she's, if you hang around her and do what you're supposed to do, you will enjoy GT.
You see how she made sure she emphasized on the do what you're supposed to do? Because even my parents, I'm like, do right, sit.
Yeah, she does
Face
that.
forward.
Well, used to it.
So,
I mean, we ignore her, but we can ignore her, And most times she will block me. And
my mother's talking about the fact that
when I'm the one talking.
No.
It's not sure I know. Let me finish what I'm saying.
No, I'm letting them know what you do.
And she will block me after I've done something wrong.
Okay, I was just like, let's be clear.
And when she's ready, she unblocks me. I said,
So, learn punishment.
ask him, have you talked to your daughter? And he goes, oh, did you talk to your daughter? I said, I've been blocked.
Mind you, I don't block her from calling me. I block her on social media because that's the best punishment. My mother watches my stories religiously on all pages, and she likes and she sends comments and she talks, and then she asks questions. Like the next time she talks to you, so I saw that you went to go do this. What were you doing there? Who was that in the background? I heard somebody laugh. Who was... So that is literally her. So when my only way...
So you never block him?
Because he doesn't do anything wrong.
Go on the internet.
Like, Dad doesn't bother anybody. That's why he doesn't get blocked.
And he's dead.
That's the reason? Oh, okay. She wants you to be blocked, Dad.
He won't even know you.
So, Dad, whatever goes out with, what would you like people to know about me?
Gita is somebody who has your back, basically. Okay? So...
Honor.
Okay. Not you try to correct Dad.
Honor.
At this point, I've accepted that the world now knows the other parts of my name.
All right. So she has your back, and she doesn't like injustice.
That's it.
And I think it's really, when you look at it, it's drilled into her DNA, my DNA, and all we don't.
And my DNA.
She said, what about me?
We don't like injustice.
No.
So, and in that instance, you now see if she start to confront injustice, you see her really,
all out.
And then when she talks to me, I will say, yes, that is,
That's his way of trying to de-escalate the situation. Because if I feel like he's giving me or anybody else an injustice, I'm making sure I let it be known.
Yeah. So so basically, no, injustice is not. We don't like that.
That's true.
And so GT will go out there, go for art for
anybody
that
she likes.
No,
Okay.
even if she's also fair. So even if she doesn't like the person, she also acknowledge.
I'm saying that, yeah. I'm saying
that as well.
I don't have to like you to go to bat for you, but doesn't mean I'm still going to hang out with you. But no, so I just wanted to give you guys a little behind the scenes of getting to know me a little bit better through my parents, which has been fascinating. I've learned a few things, as well as like what this whole process of me going into entrepreneurship. I tell people all the time, like, entrepreneurship and starting a business is not just you. It's really your family that's joining this journey with you, because if you have a family that cares about you the way mine does, it's a lot for them to see you have the sleepless nights and everything like that, because, everybody wants you to enjoy, relax. My mother wants me to find a husband, and, I can't help it here. I live in Atlanta. And so it's one of those things where it's like, you have to kind of take certain things with a grain of salt, because eventually the same people who were unsure, they're going to be the ones being like, I knew she could do it from day one. Look at her. It was all me. That's my...
No, I never said I knew she could do it. I was praying that God, that she should be able to do it. I will not take credit for this.
Yeah, right.
If I take credit, I will, but I can't.
Amen.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, a little behind the scenes of getting to know me a little bit better, your podcast shopper. And I would love to hear more of what you guys would like to see from me. So if you are interested in sharing a topic that you would like for me to talk about on another episode, make sure you shoot an email to support@adodemedia.com. And Adode is ADODE media.com. Until next week, guys, you guys have a good one. Say bye, Mom and Dad.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.